Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Aidan.
I'm G.
I'm Sophie.
Today we're doing 10 creepy town names you don't want to live in.
I think I would like to live in a town that's got a really funny name. When we lived in New Jersey, we were looking to buy a house, and the development was called Nob Hill. And I just thought it was...
Yeah, that's not really a creepy one though, is it?
I thought it was quite funny.
I feel like there's a lot in the UK, like not creepy ones, but more just like
funny,
rude or like funny ones.
Yeah, there is, to be fair.
Yeah, I think one of the funniest one in the UK is Cock in Mouth.
Cock in Mouth?
It's an actual place called Cock in Mouth.
Jesus.
Great.
I can't think of any, but I know there is quite a few like road names and stuff as well.
Yeah.
But
these are creepy
I just can't see like a creepy name is gonna stop you from wanting to
living there.
Like
what do you think what do you think the creepy name would be?
I have no idea. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I have no idea.
10 creepy town names you don't want to live in. I'm guessing they're all in America as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the world according to Briggs. Do you live near a town that has a really bad name, like, let's say, Paint Lick, Kentucky, Fleatown, Ohio, or Cheesequake, New Jersey? Side note, that one is real, and it's also what we call it when my cousin's ex-wife hears we have cheesecake at a family gathering. There are a ton of strange names for towns and villages in this country. Some of them, like Intercourse, Pennsylvania, make you scratch your head and what the hell were they thinking? There's some sick people in this world and sometimes we let them name our towns. I'm sure some town elders regret greenlighting the local hermit as the one to pick the town name in Blue Balls, Pennsylvania. It's actually Blue Ball, not S, but most people call it Blue Balls, Pennsylvania. Today, I thought we would look at some more strange named locations, but with a creepy twist. We have a bunch of places with somewhat scary or morbid names in this country. We won't be focusing on the ones that everybody knows about, like Hell, Michigan, or Tombstone, Arizona. Everyone knows about those ones. We're gonna venture into the American backcountry and find some really weird locations that have some really sick names. I guess we're gonna start with number 10, Satan's Kingdom, Massachusetts. Satan's Kingdom is an unincorporated village in the town of Northfield, Massachusetts. Satan's Kingdom is about 1.5 miles northwest of the town near the Vermont border. It was named Satan's Kingdom because when settlers came to the area, there were Native American villagers there who decided that they weren't too keen on giving up their land, and they defended it pretty strongly, I guess. The settlement was attacked numerous times, losing more than a few settlers. It was also known for its rough terrain and wildlife, and settlers found it kind of hard to settle a land when they were worried about being attacked by the locals and bears and, tearing an ACL on the rough terrain, I guess. Surprisingly, they have a town in Connecticut and one in Vermont with the same name. Can't believe 2 places thought that was a good idea, much less 3. Number 9.
Did you notice those houses were right next to a graveyard? Could you live next to a graveyard?
We kind of do, to be fair. So we're not far away, are we?
We're across the road. But I've seen these.
I don't mind it.
No, there's a lot of over here. There's a lot of the churches that are not used anymore, and they're just going to rack and ruin.
Yeah.
And they're selling them off at a really kind of cheap price for the. But
I wouldn't want to live in a church next to a graveyard.
yes, yeah, I would. I think that'd be lovely. All those stained glass windows.
Yeah, churches are ugly,
would.
man.
No, well, if you can get a church and proper
Gorgeous,
gut it inside and make it.
No,
The
because
tall ceiling.
I just reckon you'll just feel depressed inside it.
No, there's some though.
Quite spiritual.
I'm trying to think now. There's like near Deansgate train station, and there's that big roundabout to go onto the motorway.
Yeah.
Right next to it is like a really old big church, and that was converted into apartments.
Yeah.
And it's honestly like I remember like one going up for sale and just looking at it, and it was absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So my friend Linda, she lives in it's one church that's been split into 2 houses. So one half is one house and one half is the other, and it's absolutely stunning inside.
Yeah, we definitely just have different preferences though, because like anything like
you like your more modern stuff, don't you? Yeah.
I can't stand an old-fashioned house.
No, but inside, because you gut it, it's all completely modern inside. You have like the glass staircases that you can see through, and it's all completely modern inside. It's just old from the outside.
Yeah. I think it'd be lovely.
No,
Number 9.
Skull Valley, Arizona. When settlers first surveyed the land in the area, they discovered human remains, inspiring the name Skull Valley. They weren't done finding human remains. Though the place has since been cleared of visible bones, the name is stuck. I hope they are done finding remains. I bet they get a little nervous whenever one of the locals hasn't been seen for a while. The locals are all the general store talking, and someone brings up, haven't seen old man Keebler in a couple of weeks. Then they start talking about, well, should we give him a few more weeks or start looking for his skull? Number 8, Sleepy Hollow, New York. Sleepy Hollow is a village in the town of Mount Pleasant, New York. The village is located on the east bank of the Hudson River, about 30 miles north of New York City. Sleepy Hollow is the
I watched it the other week for the first time with
Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
What movie?
Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
This is called Sleepy Hollow. Was it called
Hollow. Sleepy Hollow. Is it just?
I think it was Sleepy Hollow, wasn't it?
Oh, is it Hollow? Good film though.
Yeah.
Bit strange. Like the special effects and stuff were a bit like dated.
Was it meant to be
now,
a scary film?
The thing is, because it's Sweeney Todd in it, so like it's more like
A thriller.
meant to be like a bit. I don't even know. Like it's a bit of a comedy to me. Like I wasn't scared by it.
Well, like a bit
'Cause
goofy.
it's a bit, it's a bit silly and a bit theatrical.
Yeah.
Is probably the right word. But decent film.
setting for Washington Irving's short story, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. It was written in 1820. Washington Irving was basically the Steven Spielberg of his day. If you don't know about him and you've never heard of the book, you might have heard of the main characters, Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman. If that still doesn't ring a bell, might I suggest learning how to read or downloading Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, starring Johnny Depp. Good movie. Watch that. Christopher Walken played the Headless Horseman. The movie's nuts. Anyway, while the name itself isn't as scary, the stories of a headless dude cruising the woods on horseback makes it extra creepy. Number 7, Devil's Den, Wyoming.
Yeah.
Devil's Den is a
Sorry to interrupt, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
much more than a general store, a campground, and a few hermits dodging lawyers, I imagine. If the word devil doesn't invoke a negative feeling, congratulations. You didn't go to a Catholic school and have a nun tell you the devil would set you ablaze for having premarital sex. Devil's Den sits near the Yellowstone River in Wyoming. It's a perfect place for backpackers and other types of outdoor folk, I imagine. People like to look at waterfalls, is a big thing there. The place is also known as Devil's Hoof, which isn't much better. It's named for a 150-foot waterfall on Tower Creek in Park County. This is like this big canyon thing that people drive down to go see this waterfall all the time. It's like 10 miles of straight up cliffs almost. It's been years since I've been there, but those cliffs seem pretty steep.
They're all like remote, small towns though, aren't they? Which makes it that little bit scary.
Yeah, a little bit creepier.
Anyway, Wyoming goes all in on naming things devil. Devil's Playground, Devil's Gap, Devil's Gate, and the most famous of all, Devil's Tower right here.
Cool.
Number 6, Dead Woman's Crossing, Oklahoma. This one sounds great. Dead Woman's Crossing. It's a small unincorporated community on Deer Creek near Weatherford, Oklahoma. The community takes its name from an unsolved murder of a local woman. Supposedly, it's haunted, and it got its moniker from a brutal July 1905 murder of schoolteacher Katie DeWitt James, who went missing with her child. They found the child alive, covered in blood, and they found Katie DeWitt James on August 31st, 1905. James' remains were found near Deer Creek, about 20 miles from Clinton, Oklahoma. She was headless. She had just filed for divorce, but I guess her husband had a solid alibi because no one is ever charged. This crime is unsolved to this day. Now
that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
So the town just didn't have a name before 1905 then, and then after that's happened in that place, they'd like, well, let's name it after that.
Well, it says that earlier on that local people named the towns, or what was it they were saying? They were saying something about would you allow such and such a body to name the town?
Yeah.
But still, that's a bit weird.
I think over the years, towns change names anyway. They do over here, don't they?
Do they?
Yeah.
What's changed name over here?
So, I think Bagley, years and years ago, was called something else, and then they misspelt it, so it became, it's like names. Like the name Ball was not the name Ball originally, it was a misspell, so I think it was Ball, and then somebody spelt it with an A, so it became Ball, and that's how names changed throughout the years.
I find it fascinating, things like that.
Yeah.
the child was okay and was raised by the father, who, most cop shows will tell you he's the number one suspect, but he got the kid since he was never charged, and that's that. Now you got a place called Dead Woman's Crossing, Oklahoma. They need to change that. Number 5, Narbon, Indiana. Narbon is an unincorporated community in Brown County, Indiana. Now, this one has some people. They think. They got skipped in the 2010 census, but back in the 2000 census, they had 200 people. And since then, they've looked around and they think everyone's still there. Anyway, there are a few theories floating around about how this Indiana town got its horrible name. The most popular one suggests that Narbonne comes from its original French settlement that was here called Narbon. Sort of like how here in Aloha, Oregon, it's spelt like aloha, but you know, the rural folks here, when it was rural, didn't know how to pronounce it, so they saw it on paper and called it Aloha. So, yeah, Narbon, not a bone. I get it. Another theory is it came from the lyrics of a Depression-era song. The lyric was, "They ain't nuttin' here. How does people stayin' alive without any more than a bone to gnaw?" Now, I didn't write those lyrics. I just read them for you. The phrase bone to gnaw quickly became a popular expression of poverty in the rural communities of the Great Depression. Eventually, the phrase a gnaw to bone was used to describe any impoverished area. And it kind of stuck. And so much so that they named a town after it, maybe. Number 4, Transylvania, Louisiana. Transylvania is an unincorporated community in East Carroll Parish, Louisiana. This is not the famous Transylvania. The one in Romania where the legendary Dracula Man Cave Castle is, that's the famous one. As of the 2000 census, the population of Transylvania, Louisiana, was 743 people. This is another one that got skipped in the 2010 census. Unless a bunch of them turned into vampires and moved to places where they don't need sunscreen, they still have roughly 700 people living there. This vampire-friendly town was named in the 19th century by a Transylvania University alumni, Dr. W.L. Richards. Yeah, I don't know why he went to school in Transylvania, but he did. And he came back and brought the name with it. Obviously, the locals didn't know what was going on because they let this go. Obviously, this is not the real Transylvania, like I stated before, but that doesn't stop the local stores from selling vampire and Dracula-related stuff. $1's a buck, right? I'd actually make some vampire sunscreen. I was talking about sunscreen before, make it like the extra thick type so they don't worry about burning. That'd be great. Make a mint. Make the tube it comes in black, and when it comes out it's red. That'd be great. Number 3, Frankenstein, Missouri. Frankenstein is an unincorporated community in northwestern Osage County, Missouri. This was a farming town when it was settled over 150 years ago. Today, the parish is composed of about 150 families, most of them making their livelihood not in farming, something else. They have a couple churches and a handful of houses near town. The rest are out in the fields and stuff like that, the farms. One of the local churches, Our Lady of Help, that's what it's called, is an amazing church. It's beautiful. The masonry, it's a wonderful looking building. They actually hold a picnic that's been an annual event in town for over 125 years. Nice little community. Weird name. Now about the real Frankenstein. Most people think the monster was named Frankenstein. That is actually the name of the crazy doctor that brought a dead dude back to life. Actually, several dead dudes. The monster is its real name, and it was sort of made out of spare parts they picked up places. Sort of like a 1967 VW Beetle. The community most likely derives its name from Gottfried Franken, a pioneer from the area. Number 2, Devil's Lake, North Dakota. About 50 miles from the Canadian border, you'll find Devil's Lake, both the body of water and the town with the same name. Now, I went through here on train just last year. It was early in the morning when we got there, and I felt the train stop, so I pulled back the curtain and looked to see where we were, and about 30 seconds of viewing Devil's Lake, I felt I'd seen enough, and I went back to sleep. Not a lot goes on there, doesn't look like. The name of this lake and town are due to a language barrier. The Dakota tribe Indians who lived in the area referred to it as Spirit Lake, but that was misinterpreted by early English-speaking settlers as Bad Spirit Lake, which eventually evolved into Devil's Lake. You can't drink the water in Devil's Lake because the water has too high a salinity, meaning too much salt and sulfur and all kinds of stuff. It's not good for drinking unless treated properly. I mean, take it out for a date, maybe get a nice bottle of wine. Treat it like that. Anyway, today the area is known as one of the best perch fishing places in the country. I guess the perch don't mind drinking the water. And then if you eat the perch, aren't you getting that? It just seems weird. It's got all that sulfur in the water, and I think that would be in the fish too. Anyway, moving on. Don't forget to stay till the end of the video where I will have another poll. It'll pop up in the right corner. You'll see it. Looks like a little circle with an eye. I'll have an arrow pointing to it. You'll get it. And number 1, Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. Kill Devil Hills is a town in Dare County, North Carolina. The population was 6,683 in the 2010 census. That's up from 5,897 in 2000. Hey, congratulations, you're big enough to have gotten a visit from the census people in 2010. Not a lot of people get that. Kill Devil Hill is the most populous settlement in both Dare County and the Outer Banks of North Carolina. The name apparently comes from a shipwreck. There was a ship carrying a bunch of nasty rum that crashed in this area. The rum was so foul, it was dubbed Kill Devil. And I guess there's some hills there. Kill Devil Hills. Anyway, Kill Devil Hills is also the site where the Wright brothers had their first controlled airplane flight in the early 1900s. Interesting.
That is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's my video. Don't forget the poll right up here. There's the little arrow.
Very interesting.
It's nothing that will stop you from living in a town like that. I wouldn't live in any of them towns anyway because they're just remote and just like lonely towns, aren't they? But it's weird how they've all kind of got a meaning behind it of why they're actually called that as well.
Yeah, that's good that you know why it's that reason. But it wouldn't stop me from living in it.
What do you reckon the scariest one out of them is? The creepiest town name?
Dead woman's...
Yeah.
That was just strange.
The story behind it makes it even scarier as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No,
and they never found out who did it.
I wouldn't be rushing to go live there. But I think the next one we should do is funny names, town names.
Because there's got to be, haven't there?
Because we've got a lot over here. We should
even so we can react to the ones that we've got over here because they're funny.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Cheers.